Letting the sound of the bell invite us to practice, welcoming each of you in our rich complexities of various identities in this relative world that we live together in, our various ages and ethnicities, cultural heritage and religious backgrounds and socioeconomic groups and abilities, and our sexual orientation and gender identity, that we practice and study together for the benefit of all beings and for this living earth, and all the intersectionalities of our various identities. We aspire to do no harm and to dismantle barriers that cause separation and suffering, recognizing that our liberation is interconnected with the liberation of all. And also taking a moment to hold in our consciousness the indigenous peoples whose lands we're seated on, those of us around Portland, the Willamette, the Clackamas, the Multnomah, the Tualatin, the dozens of tribes and bands that today make up the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde and the Confederated Tribes of the Silettes, and many other Native communities who made their homes here along the confluence of the Willamette and Columbia rivers for 11,000 years. Just recognizing that today it's a community of many diverse Native peoples who continue to live and work here, and that we respectfully acknowledge and honor all Indigenous communities, past, present, and future, and are grateful for their ongoing and vibrant presence. And as we hold within our hearts these ancestors who go before us, may we also take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, paying homage to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, to the ability to find freedom in this lifetime and appreciation for the teachings that have been passed down for 2,600 years, and the Sanghas, from our small group together to many, many others who have been translating the teachings for generations and generations and generations. So may we pay homage in our hearts to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha as we take this time to sit together. Allowing ourselves to be at ease. Hold ourselves with kindness in the practice as we begin to settle into this body of breath, feeling gravity at our sit point or our feet, noticing some of the Vedana there of warmth or coolness, tingling, noticing sensations at the touch point. We can use that touch point as an anchor to return to when the mind wanders. We can also use the breath at the nostrils, at the belly, whatever is your familiar point of beginning your meditation practice, of allowing a sense of relaxation to flow through the body if possible. To begin settling, bringing the heart, mind, and body in one place. And having mindfulness be at the fore. We may notice the sense doors. There might be sound that's close up or far away. If there are others in our household, other beings in our household, there might be sounds. Or there may be street noise. Just letting that sound arrive to the ears without judgment about it. And we can notice the other senses as we settle in. The purity of smell arriving to the nose, the purity of tasting, seeing. If our eyes are slightly open, there's just blurred vision. If the eyes are closed, sometimes there's internal visions. Allowing all of this to be held in mindfulness. We might feel temperatures within the body. Sometimes they're pleasant. We can notice pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. And we can always return to that breath point or that touch point to help deepen our concentration at first, without striving hard, but just letting our attention return gently over and over again to the single point of the breath or the touch point. If that's a good way to start your practice. Returning gently again and again if we find the mind wandering. Maybe it's grasping at something that is pleasant or pushing away something that might seem unpleasant. Once again, noticing pleasant, unpleasant, or maybe we don't know, it's a neutral feeling. We can hold that with mindfulness without getting lost in a storyline about it. We can wake up right there in that moment, a moment of joy because we are seeing things clearly as impermanent or non-personal. returning to that breath or the touch point at the nostrils, or if the attention is at the breath, at the diaphragm, gently bringing in the noting process of what's happening. We might feel pressure, tingling, tightness. Or when we exhale, there might be that release from tightness or a feeling of spaciousness. We can let our awareness use the gentle noting process to help with continuity of mindful moments. The awareness of the constantly moving object. And if the mind is extremely distracted, we might want to continue back to the single anchor of the awareness at the touch point or the breath. All the while in holding ourselves in kindness and gratitude that we take this time to practice together, that we take this time to see things as they really are, arising and passing away with awareness and wisdom. We stay open to what's happening, letting mindfulness be there, letting awareness be there, and letting wisdom show us what might be useful and what might be not so useful. That we can let things go as they arise if they're not so skillful for us. we wake up in this moment, we can just begin right where we are. Was it pleasant? Was it unpleasant? We're waking up in this moment. Oftentimes the hindrances are rolling around in the background. Tiredness and sleepiness, maybe a restless mind, or doubt in the practice, or grasping at something that seems pleasant, or pushing away something that seems unpleasant. Mindfulness is at the fore. Moment to moment awareness. Just noticing, being there and present. And awareness is with it. So we can become aware as much as possible of what's happening. How long does it last? Is it a physical sensation in the body happening, or thoughts in the mind? Everything that we see comes to us from our conditioned sense doors. Comes to us to our sense doors, and it's conditioned. And we try to see it clearly with mindfulness, realizing that it all arises and passes away without avoiding it. We're bringing clarity of mindfulness and awareness to what's happening whenever we wake up to this moment. Sometimes we fall into unpleasant states of physical or mental discomfort. If we have the ability to hold it gently, we can touch upon it and notice that it's unpleasant. Sometimes if things repeat themselves, it's better to move back a little and hold ourselves in kindness and in compassion when uncomfortable states of mind or body arise. We do the best we can to be relaxed and mindful and be at ease with ourselves, while staying mindful and aware. breath by breath, moment by moment, we just return again to this present moment. What is happening now? We might ask ourselves what the mind state is like. What's happening in the heart and mind right now? We don't really need to control the experience. We need to be aware of the experience. It's a natural experience, whether it's good or bad. And with mindfulness, all of it can be interesting. With investigation, all of it can be interesting. Without it being an exercise in the mind, we just allow the mind to see clearly, to really know the experience that's happening. We might notice if judging mind is arising. We can attend to right view, to have no preference. That sensation is sensation in the body, or sound is just sound. But we're present with it and hold it kindly. Noticing if it goes away, if it, like all things, arises and passes away on its own accord. We might see the ending of it or the changing of it. And so this is how wisdom does the work. When we see clearly and know and have our attention through mindfulness, we can notice whatever is unskillful or skillful of the quality that's present. And wisdom is seeing that. Or sometimes mental qualities, unskillful mental qualities, are uprooted by simply becoming aware of them, and they naturally disappear as we continue to have just the right amount of effort and energy to be interested in what's happening in the present moment. Holding ourselves in kindness, holding ourselves in compassion as we're present with whatever arises and passes. As we hold ourselves in this kindness and in this compassion, I'll remind us of a quote from Jack Kornfield. To undertake a genuine spiritual path is not to avoid difficulties, but to learn the art of making mistakes wakefully, to bring to them the transformative power of our heart. When we set out to love, to awaken, to become free, we are inevitably confronted with our limitations. As we look into ourselves, we see more clearly our unexamined conflicts and fears, our frailties and confusion. To witness this can be difficult. We just continue beginning again to witness what's occurring. May I be at ease. May I hold myself in kindness, whatever that looks like, having goodwill for myself. May I be at ease. May I be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May I be able to see clearly the impermanent nature of what arises and passes away, that seeing clearly. May I have happiness, well-being, and the causes of well-being, the causes of happiness. May I be free from harm. May I notice when sometimes harmful states of mind arise within me. May I strive to do no harm. In this case, it directly also means to myself. May I hold myself in kindness. And as we nurture this place of kindness inside of us, the heart and mind and inclining toward goodness, to hold ourselves and others in this place of metta. Let us open that field within our hearts to let this well-wishing include others. Within this fathom-long body, this body of the breath, we can hold within our hearts others that might arrive on their own. A friend, a benefactor, a neutral person, maybe even a mildly difficult person. Let us hold in our hearts kindness and compassion for other beings, those that are seen and those that are unseen. Those beings known and unknown, those in happiness and those in sorrow. Those enlightened and unenlightened. May all beings, those that swim and walk and crawl, those that are below the earth's surface and those that are above, may all beings everywhere have happiness and the causes of happiness. Be free from harm, safe and protected, have ease and well-being. Anicca vata sankhara, upadavaya domino, upakitava meruchanti, te samvapasamo sukho. All conditioned things are subject to impermanence. They arise and pass away. And seeing this clearly with mindfulness brings the greatest happiness, which is peace. Thank you so much for your practice. The joy of us sitting together brings me great mudita, and may you really feel directly that the merits of this practice is beneficial to all beings, ourselves, each other, those that we don't know. May you let this sense of kindness and awareness fill your heart